Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or opened your phone and somehow ended up scrolling for 30 minutes? It's not you, it's your mind. And it's everywhere. We live in a world that thrives on distraction. Notifications, noise, endless to-do lists, our attention is constantly pulled in 100 directions. But here's the truth, the real reason many of us feel overwhelmed isn't the chaos outside, it's the chaos inside. Today, we're diving into something ancient, powerful, and surprisingly simple, the power of focus, and how mindfulness can completely shift the way you see your life. The mind is like water. When it's still, it reflects clearly. That's not just poetic, it's deeply practical. In this video, you'll discover why your scattered thoughts might be the root of your stress, what the Buddha taught about a focused mind, and how small, mindful moments can lead to big inner changes. You don't need to go to a mountain or become a monk. You just need to come back to this moment, fully present. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with not just inspiration, but practical ways to bring clarity, peace, and focus back into your everyday life. So if you've ever felt like life is moving too fast, if you've been craving stillness, or just a little more control over your day, stick around. And hey, if this message speaks to you, don't forget to like, share with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more weekly reflections. And let me know in the comments, what's one moment today you want to be fully present for? Part 1, The Monkey Mind, Root of Suffering. Have you ever tried to fall asleep but found your mind racing, reliving an awkward conversation, worrying about tomorrow's meeting, or remembering something you forgot to do? Or maybe you sat down for dinner, but halfway through the meal, you realized you hadn't really tasted a single bite. If that sounds familiar, you've met the monkey mind. What is the monkey mind? In Buddhist teachings, the monkey mind is the untrained mind. It swings from thought to thought, chasing one feeling, clinging to another, never stopping, never resting. It's impatient, restless, always looking for something, anything, to latch onto. The Buddha compared it to a wild monkey trapped in a house, jumping, screaming, knocking things over. It's not evil, it's simply uncontrolled. Most of us live our lives this way, reacting to thoughts, pulled by emotions, distracted, scattered. And the result? Suffering, not always dramatic, but constant. A subtle unease that never seems to go away. In fact, the Buddha taught that this restless, wandering mind is the root of much of our suffering. Not because thoughts are bad, but because we are lost in them. There's a powerful story from the Buddha's life. One day, a man came to him, clearly distressed. He said, "Master, I cannot sleep. My mind will not stop. I think about my debts, my work, my family, even the words I said wrong as a child. What can I do?" The Buddha smiled gently and said, "Your mind is like a monkey bitten by a scorpion. It leaps not just because it is a monkey, but because it is in pain." He didn't tell the man to fight the monkey. He told him to heal it, through mindfulness and right understanding. Interestingly, modern neuroscience echoes this ancient wisdom. A well-known Harvard study found that people spend almost 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. And the more their minds wandered, the less happy they felt. Why? Because the mind, when untrained, tends to dwell in two places, the past and the future. Regret, guilt, blame, these live in the past. Worry, fear, anxiety, these live in the future. What's missing? The present. And when you're not in the present, you're not really living, you're just rehearsing thoughts. Picture this, you're eating a meal. Your body is there. The food is warm. But your mind is replaying yesterday's conversation. Or you're thinking about what to cook tomorrow. You eat without tasting. You chew without noticing. This happens to so many of us. And it seems harmless, until you realize it's happening all the time. You're not just missing your meal. You're missing your life. Here's the hard truth. If we don't learn to calm the monkey mind, it runs our life. We snap at our spouse, not because they did something wrong, but because we're tired and overwhelmed. We overeat, overspend, or overthink, not because we're bad people, but because we're seeking escape from the storm inside our heads. When the mind is chaotic, life feels chaotic, even when nothing outside has changed. The Buddha said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." The mind is everything. What we think, we become. If your mind is scattered, your world feels scattered. If your mind is still, your world becomes still. So what do we do? The first step is simply to notice. Notice when your mind is running. Notice the moment your thoughts take you away from the now. That awareness is the beginning of transformation. You don't need to stop thinking. The goal isn't to empty your mind. The goal is to become aware of your mind. As the Buddha taught, mindfulness is like the hand that holds the leash of a wild animal, not to choke it, not to beat it, but to guide it gently. In the next section, we'll talk about how to do exactly that, how to shine the light of mindfulness on your day-to-day life. Because when you learn to observe your mind instead of being ruled by it, everything begins to change. And you don't have to go on a long retreat to do this. You can begin right here, right now, with the very next breath. Part 2, Mindfulness is the light that illuminates reality. What if the key to peace wasn't in changing your life, but in learning to see your life more clearly? In Buddhism, that clarity begins with mindfulness. But let's be honest, mindfulness is a word we hear everywhere these days. Apps, therapy, Instagram quotes. It's become trendy. But in the Buddha's teaching, it means something deeper, something life-changing. What mindfulness is, and what it's not. Mindfulness isn't about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts. It's not about escaping pain or pretending to be calm when you're actually falling apart inside. True mindfulness is the practice of seeing reality exactly as it is, without distortion, denial, or distraction. It's the gentle art of coming back to this moment, again and again, with open eyes and an open heart. If you're sad, mindfulness doesn't say, cheer up. It says, this is sadness. If you're angry, it doesn't say, calm down. It says, this is anger. And in that simple naming, something powerful happens. You become the observer, not the storm. Everyday practice, breath, steps, spoons. You don't need a special room or an hour of silence to practice mindfulness. It begins in the breath. It continues in your steps. It deepens with a spoonful of soup. When you breathe mindfully, you're not just inhaling air, you're arriving in the present moment. When you walk mindfully, each step becomes an act of arriving home. When you eat mindfully, even a simple meal becomes sacred. One of the Buddha's key teachings was, mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. In other words, awareness is life, distraction is sleepwalking through it. Why it matters? So why does this matter? Because most of us live with divided attention. We're at home, but our mind is still at work. We're talking with a friend, but thinking about what we're going to say next. We're living, technically, but not fully present. And this disconnection breeds suffering. The Buddha taught that suffering, dukkha, arises not just from painful events, but from our mental reactions to them, our resistance, craving, avoidance. Mindfulness cuts through all of that. It allows us to see, this is what's happening. I don't have to run. I can stay. I can understand. What science says. Modern neuroscience backs up what the Buddha taught centuries ago. Studies show that mindfulness activates regions of the brain associated with emotional regulation, empathy, and present moment awareness. Long-term mindfulness practitioners show decreased activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, which helps with decision-making and calm focus. In short, mindfulness makes your brain better at peace. A teaching from the Buddha. One of the clearest expressions of the power of mindfulness comes from the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse on the foundations of mindfulness. In it, the Buddha outlines how mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental phenomena leads to liberation. He doesn't say it's one of many paths, he says it is the only way to freedom. This is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, namely, the four foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not optional. It's the light we must carry if we want to walk the path with eyes open. A relatable example. Let's say you're doing the dishes. Normally, your mind might wander, thinking about work, money, or something that went wrong earlier. You barely notice the water, the warmth, the motion of your hands. But now imagine doing the same task mindfully. You feel the water, the weight of each plate, the movements of your breath. You're not rushing. You're here. It may sound simple, even small, but this is how mindfulness transforms life, not in the grand moments, but in the quiet ones. Because when you change the way you pay attention, the experience itself changes. And so do you. Mindfulness as returning. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, mindfulness is the energy that helps us recognize the conditions of happiness that are already present in our lives. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about returning to who you already are, underneath the noise. Every time you breathe and know you're breathing. Every time you walk and know you're walking. Every time you feel an emotion and say, this is here, instead of running away. You are practicing mindfulness. And every one of those moments brings you closer to freedom. Part 3. The power of right concentration, Samma Samadhi in Buddhist practice. In the pursuit of inner peace and enlightenment, right concentration, Samma Samadhi, stands as the pinnacle of the Noble Eightfold Path. It is the state in which the mind becomes unified, free from distractions, and deeply absorbed in clarity. In Buddhism, right concentration is not about forcefully narrowing one's focus but rather about letting go of unnecessary attachments, allowing the mind to rest naturally in a state of profound awareness. Through this practice, our perspective shifts, from negativity to insight, from anger to compassion. Understanding right concentration in the Noble Eightfold Path. Right concentration is the final step in the Noble Eightfold Path, serving as the foundation for wisdom and liberation. The Buddha taught that true concentration is not merely the ability to focus but rather the ability to sustain awareness with ease and equanimity. In Buddhist teachings, concentration is cultivated through meditative absorption, jhana, a progressive series of mental states that lead to deeper tranquility and insight. These states allow the mind to become fully immersed in the present moment, free from restlessness and attachment. Rather than being a rigid form of focus, right concentration embodies mental clarity and flexibility. It enables practitioners to let go of distractions, allowing them to see reality as it truly is. The more refined and stable the mind becomes, the more profound the transformation in one's perspective. The science behind concentration and mental clarity. Modern neuroscience aligns with Buddhist teachings on concentration. Research shows that sustained attention and mindfulness practices improve cognitive function by strengthening neural pathways associated with focus and emotional regulation. Reduction of mental noise. A study from Harvard Medical School found that meditation enhances the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for concentration and problem solving. This supports the Buddhist principle that a still mind sees reality with greater clarity. Emotional balance. Neuroscientists have observed that mindfulness and focused attention practices decrease activity in the amygdala, the brain's stress center. This parallels the Buddhist understanding that right concentration leads to a calm, composed mind, free from reactivity and emotional turmoil. By integrating meditation and mindfulness into daily life, we cultivate stronger concentration and emotional resilience, enhancing our ability to navigate challenges with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. Letting go to see clearly. A common misconception about concentration is that it requires mental strain, forcing the mind to stay locked onto a single thought. In reality, right concentration is the art of letting go. When we release the thoughts, emotions, and distractions that do not serve us, we gain mental spaciousness, allowing us to focus naturally and effortlessly. Imagine holding onto a handful of sand too tightly. It slips through your fingers. However, if you relax your grip, the sand remains in your palm. This is the essence of right concentration, not clinging, but allowing. The Buddha taught that when the mind is steady, our perception shifts. The lens through which we see the world becomes clearer, allowing us to transform suffering into understanding and resentment into compassion. Practicing right concentration. Steps to achieve mental clarity. 1. Start with the breath. Begin with mindful breathing. Observe each inhale and exhale without attempting to control it. This anchors the mind and cultivates awareness, as taught in Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. 2. Enter a meditative state. Gradually shift into a calm, focused awareness. If distractions arise, acknowledge them and gently return to the breath or the present experience. This reflects the practice of samatha meditation, which develops tranquility. 3. Let thoughts pass without attachment. Instead of resisting distractions, let them come and go like clouds in the sky. The key is non-attachment, a core Buddhist principle. 4. Focus on loving kindness, metta. Cultivate a compassionate mindset by directing goodwill toward yourself and others. This enhances concentration by reducing mental agitation and fostering emotional balance. 5. Deepen the practice with jhana. If your concentration strengthens, explore deeper states of meditative absorption. With time, awareness becomes more refined, leading to insight and wisdom. The transformation of perspective. The more one practices right concentration, the more profound a change in perception. What once seemed chaotic can become clear, what once evoked anger can soften into understanding. By refining concentration, the mind no longer reacts impulsively, it responds wisely. Through this practice, we embody the teachings of the Buddha, shifting from ego-driven emotions to compassionate wisdom. Mindful awareness guides us to make choices that reflect patience, kindness, and clarity. A journey of inner unity. Right concentration is more than just meditation, it is a way of being. When cultivated consistently, it becomes the lens through which we experience life. Clarity replaces confusion, wisdom takes the place of impulsivity, and presence transcends distraction. As the Buddha beautifully stated, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." By practicing right concentration, we harness the ability to see life clearly, navigate challenges wisely, and cultivate peace within. Part 4. Perspective, the unchanging truth seen through different eyes. Imagine two individuals standing at different points on a mountain, one at the peak, the other at the base. Both are looking at the same landscape, yet what they see appears entirely different. The valleys, the rivers, the sky, all remain unchanged. What shifts is not reality itself, but the vantage point from which it is observed. This, in essence, is the power of perspective. Buddhist teachings remind us that while the external world may seem static, our perception shapes how we experience life. The Buddha famously stated, "The mind is the forerunner of all things." The mind is chief, the mind shapes reality. This profound truth suggests that how we view life determines how we live it. Reality doesn't change, our perspective does. Throughout life, challenges and obstacles appear unavoidable. Financial stress, relationship struggles, health concerns, these hardships exist universally. However, what differentiates individuals is how they see and respond to these difficulties. In Buddhist philosophy, right view, samadhi, is one of the key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. It teaches us that our perception governs our suffering or liberation. A person viewing a difficult situation through the lens of frustration and resistance may feel trapped, while another who embraces impermanence, anicca, may see the same challenge as a temporary phase leading to growth. Science supports this idea. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that our beliefs and mental framing influence our emotional well-being. The brain constantly interprets experiences through past conditioning, shaping reactions in ways that either support resilience or deepen stress. By shifting our mental frame, much like moving from the base to the peak of a mountain, we invite new ways of seeing the same reality. How perspective shapes emotional well-being. Consider this. Two people experience the exact same event, losing their job. The first person views it as a devastating blow, leading to anxiety and despair. The second person sees it as an opportunity to explore new possibilities. The event itself hasn't changed, but their perspectives have. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate equanimity, upekkha, a state where we remain balanced regardless of circumstances. It is not about ignoring hardships but rather approaching them with clarity. The Buddha described the mind as a pond of still water. When disturbed, it becomes muddy, preventing us from seeing clearly. However, when allowed to settle, clarity returns. Neuroscience parallels these teachings. Studies on mindfulness show that individuals who reframe adversity through acceptance and curiosity activate neural pathways that reduce anxiety and promote rational thinking. This explains why those who meditate consistently often describe feeling more at peace during life's difficulties. A story of perspective, the two travelers. To illustrate perspective, let's explore an ancient Buddhist parable. Two travelers walk into a town. The first asks an old man, "What kind of people live here?" The old man replies, "What were the people like in your last town?" The traveler frowns, "They were rude, selfish, and dishonest." The old man sighs, "Then you will find the same here." The second traveler approaches and asks the same question. The old man responds, "What were the people like in your last town?" This traveler smiles, "They were kind, generous, and honest." The old man nods, "Then you will find the same here." The lesson is clear: what we expect to see is often what we end up seeing. This is the essence of perspective. It colors our experiences and interactions. How to shift your perspective for a more meaningful life. If reality itself remains unchanged, then changing how we perceive it is the key to happiness and wisdom. Here are 3 ways to cultivate a healthier perspective in daily life. Practice non-attachment, anicca. Recognize that every moment, whether joyful or painful, is fleeting. Nothing remains fixed, and accepting change can bring peace. When challenges arise, remind yourself, "This, too, shall pass." Cultivate gratitude, mudita. Shift focus from problems to blessings. Even in difficult times, there is something worth appreciating, whether it's supportive relationships, opportunities for growth, or simply the breath that sustains you. Neuroscience has shown that gratitude rewires the brain to enhance resilience and reduce stress. Adopt mindful observation, vipassana. Instead of reacting impulsively, pause. Observe the situation without judgment. This mindfulness-based technique allows clearer decision-making and emotional balance. The next time frustration arises, ask yourself, "Is my perception clouding reality?" Final thoughts, perspective as the key to inner freedom. The world will always have difficulties, challenges, and moments of uncertainty. What determines our experience is not the external situation but the way we perceive it. The Buddha's wisdom, modern psychology, and scientific research all confirm that shifting perspective leads to greater emotional balance, resilience, and peace. So the question is, from which vantage point are you viewing your life? Will you stand at the base, only seeing obstacles? Or will you climb higher, expanding your vision toward possibilities? The choice is always yours. As you reflect on perspective, remember this: reality may not change, but the way you see it changes everything. Part 5. Daily Mindfulness Practice: How to Stay Present Every Day. In the rush of daily life, it's easy to let moments slip away unnoticed. Our minds often wander, thinking about what's next, replaying past conversations, or getting lost in endless distractions. But mindfulness offers us a way to pause, breathe, and return to the present, transforming even the simplest activities into moments of awareness and peace. Buddhist teachings emphasize that mindfulness is not just a technique, it is a way of life. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us, Tom Dan Dao Kak Fap. Tom Lam Chu, Tom Tao Tok. In other words, our mind shapes our reality. Through mindfulness, we develop the ability to observe our thoughts rather than be controlled by them, leading to greater clarity and emotional balance. If you've ever asked yourself, "Am I truly present right now?" This is your invitation to slow down and practice mindfulness in your daily routine. Why daily mindfulness matters. Mindfulness is not something reserved for meditation sessions or retreats. it can be woven into the fabric of everyday life. From sitting in silence for 5 minutes in the morning to washing dishes with full attention, mindfulness turns routine moments into opportunities for peace. Scientific research supports this. Studies from institutions like Harvard Medical School show that regular mindfulness practice reduces stress, enhances cognitive function, and strengthens emotional resilience. When we engage in mindfulness, we activate the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and focus, while decreasing activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. In Buddhism, daily mindfulness is closely tied to right mindfulness, samma-sati, part of the Noble Eightfold Path. This principle teaches us to cultivate awareness, not just when meditating but in every moment, whether we are walking, eating, or engaging in conversation. Morning mindfulness: begin your day with presence. Instead of reaching for your phone or jumping into your to-do list the moment you wake up, take 5 minutes of stillness to observe your breath. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a deep breath, focusing on the sensation of air entering and leaving your lungs. As thoughts arise, acknowledge them but gently return your focus to the breath. This simple act sets the tone for the day. Buddhist monks practice mindful breathing, anapanasati, to cultivate deep awareness, and we can apply the same principle to our mornings, using breath as an anchor to presence. Mindfulness in daily tasks: washing dishes with awareness. Imagine this: instead of rushing through washing dishes while thinking about emails or errands, you approach it with complete attention. You feel the warmth of the water, hear the sound of bubbling soap, and observe the movement of your hands. Thich Nhat Hanh, the beloved Vietnamese Zen master, once said, "When washing dishes, just wash dishes. Don't rush to finish so you can move on to something more important." Every task, no matter how small, becomes meaningful when performed with mindfulness. How to practice? Before beginning, take a breath and acknowledge the task ahead. Feel the sensations, notice the temperature, texture, and movement. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the experience. This practice cultivates deep presence and appreciation for simple moments, reinforcing the Buddhist principle that awareness exists in every aspect of life, not just meditation. The power of the question: am I truly present? A simple but powerful way to integrate mindfulness into your routine is to ask yourself, am I truly present? This question serves as a checkpoint throughout the day, redirecting your attention back to the present. Whether you're working, eating, or spending time with loved ones, this self-inquiry helps ground you in mindfulness. It mirrors the Buddhist practice of checking in with your awareness, ensuring that your mind is engaged rather than drifting into autopilot. How mindfulness transforms perspective. Mindfulness doesn't just calm the mind, it transforms the way we see and experience life. From distraction to presence, instead of feeling overwhelmed by constant thoughts, mindfulness allows us to observe them from a place of stillness. From stress to peace, by letting go of attachments to worry and judgment, we cultivate inner equanimity. From routine to appreciation, mindfulness helps us rediscover the beauty in everyday tasks, making life richer and more meaningful. Science backs this wisdom. Research in psychology confirms that individuals who regularly practice mindfulness report higher levels of happiness, lower stress, and improved relationships. Buddhism teaches that by fully engaging in the present, suffering diminishes and clarity arises. A gentle invitation to begin. The journey to mindfulness starts with small steps. You don't need hours of meditation or perfect focus, you simply need a willingness to pause, notice, and breathe. So, as you go about your day, ask yourself, am I truly present? Start with one mindful breath, one focused action, one moment of awareness. The ripple effect will surprise you. And before you go, if this message resonates, take a moment to support Life Lessons. Like, share, and subscribe, so together we can continue exploring mindfulness and intentional living. Mindfulness is not about doing more, it's about experiencing more. Let's begin today. Transformation, shift your perspective, change your life. Peace begins within. When the mind is clear, life follows. Every challenge, every moment of suffering becomes lighter when seen through the lens of wisdom and presence. If you seek change, start by shifting how you see the world, because the outside is always a reflection of the inside. Throughout this journey, we've explored how mindfulness can transform your mornings, and ultimately, your life. From gratitude and deep breathing to mindful hydration, meditation, and intentional planning, each practice serves as a stepping stone toward greater clarity and fulfillment. These are not just ideas, they are tools for transformation, designed to bring peace, balance, and meaning into your daily life. But knowledge alone isn't enough. Real change comes when we take action. So, start today, pause, breathe, and be present in this very moment. Small steps lead to profound shifts, and every mindful action builds a more intentional life. If this message resonates with you, let's continue this journey together. Like this video, share it with those who may benefit, and subscribe to Life Lessons for more insights into mindful living. Your engagement helps us create content that enriches lives, one step at a time. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or opened your phone and somehow ended up scrolling for 30 minutes? It's not you, it's your mind. And it's everywhere. We live in a world that thrives on distraction. Notifications, noise, endless to-do lists, our attention is constantly pulled in 100 directions. But here's the truth, the real reason many of us feel overwhelmed isn't the chaos outside, it's the chaos inside. Today, we're diving into something ancient, powerful, and surprisingly simple, the power of focus, and how mindfulness can completely shift the way you see your life. The mind is like water. When it's still, it reflects clearly. That's not just poetic, it's deeply practical.